Namaste. So thank you for having me here on this platform. Okay, in our country, the freedom to live with dignity has been perceived invariably. Men and women in India have been feasting on the right to personal liberty, to work and live in the absence of, you know, uh, any kind of discrimination. Let's go back in time and realize our forefathers fought recklessly to attain freedom. But, sitting here decades later, our fear has come back again. And now the fear is not about losing freedom. The fear is about attaining independence for some. India has been home to many, minorities, many neglected communities. And one of the most neglected communities, and I think not just neglected, but humiliated and defamed community has been the LGBTQI community. LGBTQI community is one of the communities that has fought a long way, and we've come a long way. We've succeeded in our process of getting rights, basic rights, and uh, we as a part of this community, okay. Most of the people in this world are very proud of the sex they're born with, the genders they're born with. But that's a very nice thing to to really like the genders that you're born with. But some people, but it is very bad to look down upon people and judge people who are not born like you. uh, Coming back to we have a certain people, we have some kind of people who are not very happy with the sex that they're born with. uh, let's talk about the transgender community that I come from. I'm a very proud transgender. There's a very minute difference when you talk about transgenders. It is just that you're. Let me explain you in a very uh, spiritual way, where the sex of my soul doesn't match the sex of my body. So it's simple. The struggle is about just bringing them both together, and in that struggle, you end up being a matter of mockery, a matter of discrimination, and a lot of humiliation. I come from a very humble background. My parents, they both were government officials, and at the age of 8 or 9, I realized that I was different. I'm sorry. Let me stop you here. It was not me who realized. It was people who made me realize that I was different. Different, not just different, but something was wrong with me. The constant hammering from my relatives, from my people around me, from my parents, from my classmates, my teachers, the constant hammering and humiliation, the bullying made me realize that there's something with me. And it was that very moment where I happened to feel that, okay, it is, if everybody is against it, that there is something wrong with me. With that constant hammering that, okay, you are not supposed to behave in a certain manner, and you are a boy, and you better behave like one, you have that mannerisms, you better play cricket, or you go out with boys, where I refused at that age also, that no, I want to play with Barbie dolls, and I like that, and I want to do things that I really feel like doing from within my heart. But at the same time, there was a little kid in me where who didn't know about what genders are all about. But my bubble was bursted when I grew up a little more, and I realized that with the constant bullying from people around me, that I'm going towards the wrong direction. But I think my resilience and my perseverance at that age made me realize that no. And resilience, why? Because I was falling again and again within myself and in the outer world. Let me tell you something very interesting. You know, there is a war, a trans child, which he or she, I am saying he or she because there are different kind of transgenders. One are male to female and another ones are female to male.
So any child, a trans child, is fighting a war in the inner universe. There's a universe which lives within us. So a trans child, that he or she fights a war, and at the same time you're fighting a war in the outer world, where people bully you, people do so many things, so many bad things to you. I left my home at the age of 17, at that tender age, just thinking about my parents, that it is my war, it is my life, and I can't let my parents go through that, all that I am already going through. So I decided to move, and fortunately I prepared myself for an IFT exam, and I got through, and I went ahead and pursued my degree from NIFT. And I always knew that fashion is one space that can allow me to be who I am, and it can comfort me to another level where I can express, because I always believe that fashion is a form of art, and art is something that let you be who you are, and it is a form of expression. Coming from the fashion industry, you tend to work with karigars, masters, and skill-based laborers, where you realize that they are still living in that world where they cannot understand what a transgender is. That was a difficult time, but then somehow it went through. And lucky was me when I won a reality show in the very last year of my college called Let's Design Season 2 on Zoom. It was on the Zoom channel. And I was awarded an internship with WGSN, which is world's best fashion forecasting agency. Went on to do my intern in Hong Kong, and during one of my research, I found about a subculture that exists in the Western Europe. It was about, I again felt it was about liberation. It was about, just being who you are. The subculture was called fetishism. And it made me realize that, there are people who want to come out of the social taboos and social norms. And that is something I really, really relate to. And it gave me an idea that why not to do something which is non-existent and which challenge the social norms which has been created, the barriers which has been created by the men. So I came back, I started my label, which is Nude, New Urban Design Empire. And I worked really hard. My label was a little unusual. I specialized in leather lingerie, which was one of its kind label in India. Just as the name suggests. Another interest was pageantry, where we grew up watching Shushmita Sen and Aishwarya Rai winning Miss World and Miss Universe in the year 1994. And like a little child, I always wanted to have a crown on my head and be Miss India, which I am now proud. But at the same time, I thought that pageantry is something that I really relate myself with, because I think pageants give you platform to to basically voice what you really want to say, and people will hear you and people will lend their ears to you, because it doesn't come with one kind of profession. Any kind of if you can come from any kind of profession or any walk of life you can come from, and as long as you have confidence, as long as you have that power to hold yourself, to conduct yourself on stage, that is what pageantry taught me. And over the years I went on to do pageantry. I got on board with many pageants, and there I realized that I still am not very, very happy with what I was doing. No, this not, I would not say happy, but then there was a void which I always wanted to, fulfill. And being a trans kid, always I had this thing in my head that, I have not done anything for my community. I wanted to do, but then I was also scared that I didn't want to reveal about myself, because I think with God's grace, I was feminine enough not for people not to discover that, okay, there is something wrong with her. Then I met the founder of Miss Trans Queen India, Reena Rai, back in 2017 when we did the very first Miss Trans Queen India. And I offered her my services, where I said, maybe if nothing else, I can go ahead and, from back end, I can do something for my community. So I went on to train and direct the Miss Trans Queen India show. And from there, I realized that, okay, this little, this little contribution of mine can bring a lot of change, because if at least I can change one life through my contribution, I think my purpose is met. So from there, I went on training different Miss Trans Queen Indias who represented us internationally as well. But in the last year, something very strange happened, apart from, of course, pandemic, where Reena Rai, of course, she thought that it is not going to be easy for her to conduct a pageant, Miss Trans Queen India pageant last year. So she said that, and she was not very keen on doing a virtual pageant. But again, she didn't want India, like she didn't want India not to represent internationally in 2021. So she kind of convinced me that I think it's time that you've achieved a lot in your life. It's time for you to reveal your identity. And okay, there's always this very strong statement from especially from the LGBTQ community where, we talk about coming out stories. But I always felt that I came out only once from my mother's womb. I always thought that, this statement is overused and abused. But with that, with Reena Rai, her conviction towards me and other board members, which I, of course, knew, very dear friends of mine, they kind of convinced me to take up the title and prepare for international stage. And that changed my life. That changed my life a lot. It empowered me. It was right next day of my crowning. I woke up around 2:00 in the afternoon when Reena Rai called me. She's like, have you checked your Instagram or have you checked your Facebook? I said, no, I haven't. It's like, just see, you are all over the media. And by the way, we got coverages in more than 92 countries. And the kind of response, the kind of, the way people reacted to me, on my being on me being crowned Miss Trans Queen India 2020, I was overwhelmed. I was so thrilled to see the response where people who did not speak to me for years for being who I am, people, my relatives, my friends who did not speak to me, the ones who bullied me in school, they all wanted to come back and communicate with me. So that changed my mind a lot. And from there, I realized my responsibility even further, where I wanted to go back. I wanted to go back and work on the ground level, where I thought my contribution to the community is not enough. I need to do something more. So I went and I realized about my life, and I, tried to analyze what all things I have been through. And there I realized that, as a child, if that bullying and that humiliation was not a part of my life, I would have been a different person. I wouldn't have to leave my house. I would have been living with my parents. So I thought that, I realized that, the child who was bullying me also was not wrong. He was not informed. He was not informed of the sexes, the coexistence of different genders. So this has been a little serious talk, but here towards the end, I would like to tell a few facts about the life that a transgender, goes through. See, in the quest of making your soul and your body match, the gender of your soul and the gender of your body match, it is such a hard struggle. It is such a tough journey that, you need love. You need a lot of care. You need a lot of, that whole a cocoon feeling where you're protected, because you are fighting a very, 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 very difficult war within you. So there's, one more incident I would like to state here, where, very strange. I don't know. Like I've heard a lot of interviews, of my trans sisters and, a lot of well-known transgenders. But then I think they all will agree with me that there's one thing that we all go through in our lives, which is, on my social media, when I never revealed about myself, and of course I will not put a tag, okay, hi, I'm Shani Soni and I'm a transgender. Nobody introduce yourself like that. You do not say, okay, I am so and so and I'm male or I'm female. No, you do not do that. So same here, I never thought there was a need of me putting a transgender thing on my bio. So there are a lot of, I think I look decent enough for a lot of men to get attracted towards me. So I have a lot of men asking me out, asking me for dates, asking me to marry, asking me to have relationships. But, with the conversations going ahead with them, of course, I am attracted towards male. With the conversations going ahead with them, I realized that, it is time for me to tell them about me. And when I tell them, the whole journey of love just immediately turns into lust. That one word, that I am a transgender, makes the love into love. First of all, let me state and let me be very clear that transgenders are not sex commodities. It is non-availability of opportunities. It is non-availability of right to education that forces people to get into sex work. And also realize the fact that trans women are not about getting laid. Give us opportunities, equal opportunities, and trust me, we can do wonders, because we live both the lives in one body of a male and a female. Understand that. And with that, I would also say that, I've been very thankful to God for keeping me strong, for having that resilience in me, and keeping me focused in my life to achieve whatever I've achieved in my life. And this is just the start. I have miles to go before I sleep. And to end this, I would say my message to the world, and let's look beyond genders. Let's look beyond everything, because I think the recent pandemic, if that has not taught us to be, to respect the coexistence of anyone and anything and anyone, we are not worth living. So my message at the end of my speech would be, you have to master your mind to recreate your reality. I think that is very important. Your life is your own. You have to create a life for yourself, not anybody else. But in the quest of creating your life, in the journey of creating your own life, do not hurt anybody else's sentiments. Thank you.